Hi guys, this is John from Meatristics University, and this is Wild Game Venison Snack Sticks. Well, we're here, hunting season is finally upon us, so we decided to do some stuff with venison. Today we're going to be showing you how to make venison snack sticks. So the first thing that's important with venison is you want to make sure everything is ultra clean. That's why we recommend you either spray things down with a Maxim, let it sit there for 60 seconds and then rub it off, or just use these food contact sanitizing wipes. Makes everything nice and simple. Just want to make sure all of your equipment, all of your storage bins, everything is as clean as you can get them. So with venison, the easiest way that we find to deal with it is to freeze it while it's in the vacuum bags. Then take it out, let it sit in the fridge overnight. Now it's not going to be all the way defrosted after that. You're going to want to get some sort of serrated knife and cut it up into chunks that are small enough to fit down your grinder's head. And as we're grinding, we're going to grind it twice. We're going to do it first through a 3/8 plate and then finally through a 1/16 plate. I want to show you guys something. These are zip ties I have that keeps one plate with one knife. That way, these are able to wear at the same rate and it extends the life of my plates and knives. I also white oil those every time before I use them. Just keeps the friction down and again, extending the life of my knives. Now, venison's obviously very lean and we need some fat with this. So I'm going to be adding 25% of the product's weight in pork fat. Now, if you can't get straight pork fat, you can use untrimmed pork butts and go at a 50-50 ratio. So make sure that those butts are untrimmed and they have a nice fat cap on them, and then do 50% venison and 50% of that pork butt. So we're going to grind all the venison first through this 3/8 or a breaker plate basically. Just everything's frozen, so it should grind really nice and quickly. We don't have to push down too hard on the stomper. And at this point, we're not going to mix in our fat yet. Now that everything's been ground through once, we're going to go ahead and grind everything through the 1/16 plate, and this is where we're going to add our pork fat. Now that all our venison has been ground once through the larger plate, we're going to go through the fine 1/16 plate, and we're going to grind the pork fat in here as well. Now, as I'm grinding my pork fat, I like to mix it in with the venison. That way you don't have a big clump of ground pork fat and a big clump of ground venison. It's mixed throughout. It makes mixing a lot easier. And since this is a snack stick, we don't want particle definition on our pork fat. That's why we're grinding it through the smaller plate. We want it to evenly mix in throughout the entire thing. So we have just about 13 pounds of total meat here. That's the venison and the pork fat, which is about the least amount you can use to run with the Weston 44-pound meat mixer and your Weston grinder. I like doing this just because it saves me from having to turn that crank constantly. It does it all for me. A problem you might run into is that your meat is going to get pushed to the sides and it's just not going to mix evenly. You can get these little soft paddles and push all the meat back in there without stopping it. Just reach in and push it back to the center and it'll take care of everything. So we're going to put all of our meat in first. Then we're going to mix in our seasoning. Then we're going to add our binder, and we are using a Sure-Gel binder here. I like to use Sure-Gel anytime I'm doing wild game. It's a little bit more expensive than some of the other binders, but I mean, you've already spent all the money on your deer, the hunting, everything, so just spend a couple extra dollars and get the Sure-Gel binder. I'm also going to be adding the water, which I've already mixed the cure in, and since I'm making venison with a taco snack stick seasoning, I didn't want the tang that encapsulated citric acid gives. So I have measured out an incredibly small amount of sodium erythorbate. If you want to do something like this at home, I would suggest that you go with a smoked meat stabilizer instead, as it's easier to measure out that amount. But if you do have a scale that'll weigh in fractions of grams, you can use the sodium erythorbate as well. So we're going to go ahead and just keep mixing. We want to make sure that everything's nice and sticky, that we've got good protein extraction. And then during the last 60 seconds or so, we're going to add our cheese, which has been frozen. The frozen cheese just helps it retain its form a little bit better. All right, so now we're on to stuffing. We're going to choose the largest stuffing tube that our casing will go over. I'm using 19mm smoked collagen here. You can use 19 or 21. I really don't like going much smaller than 19. It puts a lot of pressure on the stuffer and it's really just not necessary. A 19mm snack stick still looks great, nice and thin. Even the 21mm I think looks pretty good. I know a lot of people like to look for those little Slim Jim tiny things, but it does put a lot of wear and tear on your stuffer when it's really just not necessary. As we're stuffing this, we want to make sure that we're not over or under stuffing our casing. What we're looking for here is there is a line that swirls down the entire casing. We want to stuff to the point where you can just barely see that line. If you can see that line easily, you're understuffing. If there's no line at all, you're overstuffing. Overstuffing causes a problem when you go to hang it in your smokehouse. It's gonna rupture either where you stick in your probe thermometer or at the top where it's hanging over your snack stick. We went ahead and started with a 10-minute drying phase. And this is a little bit different than what we normally do. So we had 120 degrees, 10 minutes, all vents open and fans on. Now, if you don't have a fan in your smoker, just go ahead and open your vents all the way. Don't add smoke or humidity during this phase or the next phase, which is going to be 30 minutes at 130 degrees, again, with everything wide open, no smoke, no humidity. After that, we closed the dampers down 2/3 of the way. We added smoke and humidity, and we went ahead and cooked it for an hour. After that, we bumped it up to 150 degrees for another hour. Then we put it up to 160 degrees for 30 minutes, and finally we put it up to 180 degrees until the internal temperature reached 160 degrees. After that, we put it in an ice bath for 20 minutes. So we're done. These came out excellent. I was a little worried about a taco seasoning with venison, but let me tell you this, if this seasoning is that good with venison, it is going to be amazing with beef and pork. Even if you love venison snack sticks, you have to admit that generally snack sticks do taste a little better when they're either beef or pork, but these are incredible. We added the high temp cheddar cheese. I mean, tacos and cheddar cheese goes together very well. Absolutely delicious. We'll absolutely be making these again. As always, remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and visit waltonsinc.com and meatgistics.com to find everything but the meat. Thanks for watching. I'm John with waltonsinc.com, and I'll see you guys next time. Subscribe to Walton's YouTube channel to watch more amazing videos, or shop at waltonsinc.com to find everything but the meat. Check out our latest sales and giveaway video here, or watch another hand-picked video by clicking here.